Welcome back to Rugby Obsession, the podcast for everyone who just can't get enough of the rugby world. And before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the latest rugby news and analysis. So today, we're going to tackle the Springbok transfer rumors. The ones that got everyone buzzing. Specifically, the potential moves of, Siya Kolisi and Handre Pollard. I mean, it's a crazy time to be a rugby fan, right?
It is. The World Cup, it feels like it just ended, but the excitement's still going strong. And now we've got these potential transfers that could really shake things up in South African rugby.
It's like the after party of the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what's really fascinating to me? It's that these rumors show just how global South African rugby has become. We're not just talking about local teams fighting over these guys.
No, not at all.
It's like a global bidding war for their talent.
It really is.
Which just goes to show the impact the Springboks have had on the international stage.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's break this down. Starting with Siya Kolisi. Initially, all the buzz was about him maybe going back to the Stormers, his old team.
Right.
And John Dobson, the Stormers coach, he didn't exactly hide his admiration for Kolisi. He even kind of hinted at a possible reunion.
And Dobson's comments, they were more than just like polite admiration. He really emphasized Kolisi's leadership, right?
Yeah.
And his strong connection with the Stormers. So that's a pretty clear sign they're interested.
Oh, yeah. Definitely got everyone talking. But wait, there's a twist. Recent reports say that the Stormers haven't actually, formally approached the Sharks. Where Kolisi is currently signed until 2027.
Oh, wow.
So are the Stormers just, dipping their toes in the water? Or is there something more to this story? What do you think?
That's a tough one. If the Stormers are serious, they got to make a move, and soon. The Sharks gave him that extension for a reason, They clearly value what he brings to the team, both on and off the field. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Sharks, they might not be so willing to let their captain go, even if it means, sending him back to where he started.
It's a tricky situation for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Siya Kolisi. He's not just a captain. He's like a national icon.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever he decides, it's going to have a huge impact, and not just in rugby. And speaking of big decisions, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of Springbok transfers, well, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession for more.
Absolutely.
We've got so much more to unpack, including Handre Pollard's situation, which is a whole other ballgame. But before we jump into that, let's pause for a moment and think about this. What would a move back to the Stormers mean for Kolisi's legacy? Would it be a triumphant return to his roots? Or would it kind of mess with the winning formula he's built with the Sharks?
That's the big question.
It's something to ponder, and we want to hear what you think. So drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell us, is a homecoming the right move for Kolisi, or should he stay put with the Sharks?
Yeah, let us know.
All right, now let's shift gears and talk about Handre Pollard. His situation is completely different. His contract with Leicester Tigers ends in June, and that sparked a massive bidding war for him. Get this, 10 clubs are reportedly interested.
10 clubs. That's not just interest. That's a stampede.
It's crazy.
Everyone wants him.
And here's where it gets even juicier. Some of these clubs are from South Africa, but no one knows which ones yet.
It's a mystery.
The suspense is killing me. Makes you wonder, which South African teams are trying to get him back? Are we talking about the big names, like the Bulls, the Sharks, or could there be some surprise contenders in the mix?
Who knows? That's what makes it so exciting.
It really does.
You got to think about what this means for Pollard, though. He's playing in England, which is incredibly competitive. So would coming back to South Africa be a step down?
I see what you mean.
Or could it be a whole new challenge for him, a chance to, lead a South African team to glory?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
We're talking about Handre Pollard here, a player who loves a challenge and has consistently performed at the top of his game. No matter where he ends up, he's going to make a huge impact.
For sure. And this whole bidding war really highlights the global demand for Springbok players. Pollard's situation is a perfect example of how South African players are now, hot commodities in the rugby world.
It's true. It really speaks to the quality and the grit that Springboks bring to the game. They're known for their physicality, their tactical smarts, and their never-give-up attitude. It's no wonder clubs all over the world are lining up to have them on their teams.
I couldn't agree more. It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
The thought of these guys coming back, it could have a ripple effect on the whole South African rugby scene.
Oh, totally.
Think about the boost it would give to the local teams.
Right.
The inspiration for young players.
Yeah.
And just the overall competitiveness it could bring to the domestic leagues.
It's like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Exactly.
The return of these experienced players could raise the standard of play across the board.
Yeah.
Which would ultimately benefit the Springboks, right?
Absolutely.
On the international stage.
Yeah, but it's not as simple as just plugging them in. There's always a balance to strike between bringing in new talent and keeping that, team unity.
Right.
The Springboks, they have a winning formula, and messing with that too close to a World Cup could be a big risk.
You're absolutely right. It's a tightrope walk for the Springboks management. You got to weigh the pros and cons,
Yeah.
Having these seasoned players back, it could be amazing. But it could also disrupt the team dynamics, the playing structures that are already in place. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a fascinating dilemma, isn't it? On the one hand, you have the experience and leadership that guys like Kolisi and Pollard bring,
Yeah.
which is priceless, especially in a World Cup situation.
Sure.
But then on the other hand, you got to think about building a team that's more than just the sum of its parts. A team that plays with cohesion, that understands each other.
It's a tough call. No easy answers there. But that's what makes this whole transfer thing so captivating.
Definitely.
It's not just about players moving around. It's about the strategic decisions behind it all, the potential impact on the team, and ultimately, the quest for World Cup glory.
It all comes back to that. And let's not forget the money involved.
Oh, yeah, sure.
These transfers, we're talking serious cash. It's a reminder that professional rugby is a business, too.
A big business.
Clubs have to be smart with their investments.
Yeah.
Balance their ambitions with their budgets.
Absolutely. It's not just about passion and national pride. It's about the bottom line as well. And speaking of high stakes, if you're loving this deep dive into the world of rugby, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession. We'll keep you updated on all the latest news and analysis, from transfers to everything in between.
And we want to hear from you. What do you think about these potential transfers? Should Kolisi go back to the Stormers? Where do you see Pollard fitting in? Let us know in the comments.
We love hearing from our listeners. Your opinions, your perspectives, it's what makes this community so awesome. All right, let's zoom back in on Kolisi for a second. John Dobson, the Stormers coach, he had some interesting things to say about him. He said, and I quote, "He's a quality guy, a great leader. He's a great player with a long history at the Stormers." Yeah, that says a lot, right?
Yeah, it does. It's not just about Kolisi's rugby skills. It's about his character, his leadership, his connection with the Stormers.
Right.
Those are things you can't just teach.
They go beyond the rugby field.
Exactly.
It's about bringing back a player who embodies the team's spirit, someone who understands the culture, who can inspire the guys around him.
That's powerful.
It's a homecoming story that fans would love.
For sure.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's still a lot to play out here. We got to consider the Sharks' point of view, what Kolisi wants, and, of course, the money situation.
It's a complex equation.
It is. And we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. Same goes for Handre Pollard. The fact that 10 clubs are fighting over him, that's a testament to his talent. Shows how valuable he is in the global rugby market.
Absolutely. It's incredible. It shows how far South African rugby has come.
Right.
Springbok players, they're recognized as some of the best in the world now.
I know. It's mind-blowing. And the fact that, nobody knows which South African teams are in the running just makes it even more exciting.
It does.
It's like a game of rugby chess, with everyone making their moves and trying to, outmaneuver each other.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's not just about signing the big-name players. It's about building a team for the future, creating a, winning culture that goes beyond just individuals.
Right. And that brings us to a really big question. What impact would these potential transfers have on the Springboks' chances at the next World Cup?
That is the million-mile question, isn't it?
It is.
Well, on the one hand, having Kolisi and Pollard back in South Africa, it could really boost the competition in the domestic leagues.
Yeah.
Which means all the Springbok hopefuls, they'd be playing at a higher level.
So it's like they'd be sharpening their skills against the best of the best, getting ready for the big show, the World Cup.
Exactly. But then again, there's the whole team chemistry thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
The Springboks, they already have a winning formula. They have a core group of players who've, been through it all together.
They know how to win.
Exactly. So changing that up too close to the World Cup, it could be a gamble.
It's a tough call for the Springboks management, for sure.
It is.
They need to find that, sweet spot, that balance between bringing in new talent and keeping the team spirit that's been so important to their success.
Absolutely. It's about weighing the risks and the rewards. Kolisi and Pollard, they're amazing players, no doubt, but they need to be integrated carefully.
Right.
Make sure it makes the team stronger, not weaker.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. It is. And speaking of fascinating, if you're finding this deep dive into Springbok transfers as gripping as we are, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Rugby Obsession community. We've got so much more coming your way. In-depth analysis, exclusive insights, thought-provoking discussions, you name it.
We're all about, really exploring the world of rugby, going beyond just the headlines to understand the decisions, the players, the everything that makes this sport so amazing.
And we want to hear from you. Where do you stand on these potential transfers? Do you think Kolisi should go back to the Stormers? What kind of impact do you think Pollard would have on a South African team? Let us know in the comments. We love getting your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. The best conversations are the ones that involve different viewpoints, passionate fans, so let's keep the conversation going.
Well said. And on that note, it's time to wrap up another exciting episode of Rugby Obsession. We've covered a lot today. From Siya Kolisi's potential homecoming to Handre Pollard's global bidding war.
We've analyzed the rumors, looked at the implications, and thought about what it all means for the players in the Springboks.
But most importantly, we've celebrated the passion, the skill, that never-say-die spirit that makes rugby such a special sport.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So if you've enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more in-depth analysis and awesome discussions.
We'll be back soon with more.